Okay, 617-830-4750. Our next caller is from the 720 area code. Go ahead.
Hi, Pakman. My name's Sean, and I live in Colorado. And I think what we're really dealing with in America, and we're missing the major problem here, or the major point, is that the Democratic Party is a party of enablers. They enable the Republican Party to get away with their evil, and even more so than that, even support them at times. Like, they supported the banks, and they supported the deregulation of Wall Street. And what's really going on here is that from the top down, the Democratic establishment is considered leadership. And it has created this idea that in order to be a liberal or in order to be a leftist, you kind of have to be a coward. You know what I mean? That you're not willing to really fight. And what this does is embolden Republicans and allow stuff like the Supreme Court. I mean, like, Obama, he had the Supreme Court nomination. If he had any sense of anything, he would have been on TV day in and day out saying the Republicans are un-American, they are going against the Constitution, day after day after day, and made the Republicans pay for it. But he didn't do that because of the fact he kind of agrees with the Republicans, and a lot of the corporate Democrats do. So I think the real issue is that people on the left need to know it's okay to be strong. You know what I mean? It's okay to be like, no, I want health care for people because of the fact I believe that that is a right. And even more so, like, you can even argue from a Christian angle. Like Jesus said, feed the poor, the hungry, the sick, and the needy, you will go to heaven. Those who don't go to hell. Like, there's like so many arguments, but the Democratic Party pretty much just enables the Republicans to do anything they want day after day after day.
So listen, a bunch of good points in there. A couple different things. Number one, you can hold simultaneously the belief that you have just espoused, Sean, which is that a lot of the actions of the Democratic establishment are either supportive of or inadvertently complicit with maintaining the worst elements of the status quo, including how politics is financed, the sort of corporate oligarchy that governs the United States, so on and so forth. You can believe that. And at the same time, when it comes down to who am I voting for, because there are real differences on very important issues between Republicans and Democrats, I'm going to choose to vote for the Democrat. You can hold both of those beliefs. You can also recognize that although we want to break the two-party duopoly, as I've talked about doing with campaign finance reform and ranked choice voting and some of the other means that we've talked about, we still can work within the Democratic Party to primary rightist and corporate Democrats when there are opportunities to do that without doing more self-inflicted harm, and move the Democratic Party to the left to the extent that it's possible. And I really can't disagree with anything you've said, and I think it's just important to remember that everything you said can be true, and yet we can still improve circumstances by voting for some of the right Democrats when we have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, personally, I'm just kind of sick of like corporate Democrats. I think I'm going to vote third party. But if people want to vote Democratic, I'm in complete support of that. I think my major issue is that we need to have a new understanding of what it means to be on the left.
Absolutely.
Because the concept of people on the left is kind of a representation of what the Democrats are, but the donors pick weak Democrats and strong Republicans, and the Republicans just steamroll everything they want through, and people on the left get this sense of, oh, I got to be like the Democrats, you know what I mean? Instead of actually being like, no, this is an issue that I'm willing to fight for, I'm stand for, and I'm even willing to like yell about it, or you know what I mean? It's like we've taken
George Lakoff has a ton of writing on this, and he says Democrats and actual progressives, some of whom are Democrats and some of whom are not, need to start framing their issues, our issues, as actually the patriotic thing to do, right? Hey, listen, we are a country that values the people within it, and we're going to make sure people have some basic level of health care. We are going to do our patriotic duty to make sure we have the best country possible by paying our taxes, not by trying to give tax cuts to the rich, which is not the patriotic thing to do. It's actually the opposite of patriotism to do that. Lakoff has a lot of good stuff on this, and I wish more people in power on the left read that and maybe took some lessons out of it.
Okay, and I just want to add one thing, and
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. My major point is I think we need to be harsher. And I think, like, we need to say the Republicans are immoral. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest problem with Trump is they don't understand he's a bully. Right. And you don't beat a bully by saying you're mean. You know what I mean? You're being mean
Sean,
to me. You say, like,
people are mad at me because I'm saying some of the, it might be time for some tactics to protest what this administration is doing that are going to make people uncomfortable. And I'm getting emails from people saying that my tone is all wrong. What about civility? You're just not going to fight back against what's going on by saying, I respectfully disagree. Please stop what you're doing. It's just someone's going to have to end up uncomfortable. That's just the reality at this point.
Absolutely. And I think the reason that you are getting those emails is because they're following the leadership, quote unquote, of the Democratic establishment itself. So what they see is like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're like, what if people start getting mean? More people have died in terrorists from right-wing Republicans in the United States than Muslims. Yep. Besides 9/11, obviously, but since then, so on and so forth. And it's just like, we need to be like, no, this is a moral situation. And if you don't think a poor child or a single mother deserves health care or a livable wage, you're
not
immoral.
Very patriotic.
Like, this is, yeah, sorry.
All right, Sean, thank you. Really appreciate it. Points well made, and keep fighting out there. I appreciate what you're doing.